My daughter took my new Mercedes after I said no, then posted muddy boots on the dash. I'd wanted one thing that was mine, and I worked 12 years for it, a Mercedes S-Class. I took overtime, skipped trips, and lived cheap so I could buy it. When I got the keys, the leather smelled new, and I kept the inside spotless. My wife always put our daughter first, and our daughter learned she could take what she wanted. If I said no, I was being dramatic again. My wife would even take food off my plate and hand it to our daughter like it was normal. So when I said, nobody drives this car unless I say so, they smiled like they heard me, but I could tell they didn't believe me. Then my daughter, now 20, asked to borrow it for a road trip in Spain with her friends. We were at my parents' house for Sunday dinner when she said it. She didn't ask like a normal person. She said, I need your car next week, like it was already decided. I said, no. My wife snapped her head at me. My daughter rolled her eyes and muttered, whatever. My parents went quiet and stared at their plates, or so I thought. 3 days before the trip, my mom called and said my dad needed a ride to a medical appointment during my work hours. She claimed their car had broken down and asked if she could take my Mercedes just for that. She promised she'd park it back at their house so I could pick it up after work. I hesitated, but I really didn't want to accuse my parents of anything. I drove over, handed my mom the keys, and said, just the appointment, okay? My mom took them with both hands, like it was heavy. She nodded fast, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. My wife was there too, smiling in this calm, innocent way that made my stomach feel tight. As I walked out, she said, you trust your family, right? And kissed my cheek like it was nothing. I went to work anyway and tried to ignore the feeling that I was being played. All day, I kept checking my phone at work, trimming hedges and mowing lawn. By late afternoon, I couldn't focus. I follow my daughter on Instagram, even though she doesn't follow me back. And around 8 p.m., I opened her story. My hands started shaking. There she was, in my Mercedes, with 3 friends, already on the highway to Spain. 4 pairs of hiking boots were up on my dashboard. Mud was smeared across my cream interior. I could almost smell the wet dirt through the screen. One girl's shoe was pressed against the screen like it was a joke. My daughter was laughing, and the caption said, upgraded our ride, with a crown emoji. Then I saw wine bottles clinking in my back seat and a close-up of a muddy boot on my seat. I took screenshots of everything. I didn't call them first. If I called, my wife would talk over me. My daughter would say sorry without meaning it, and they'd keep driving. So I went straight to the police station. I told the officer my car was taken without my permission. He asked who had it. I said, my daughter, and she's out of the country. I showed him the Instagram photos. He stared at the boots on the dash and asked, are you sure you want to report this? I said, yes. I told her no, and she took it anyway. He had me sign the report for auto theft. My hand shook as I wrote my name. Then I called my insurance and reported it stolen too, and they flagged the plates. That night, I went home and sat on my couch, staring at the empty hook where my keys should have been. 2 days later, my phone exploded. Calls from my wife, calls from my mom, voicemails from my daughter with a shaky, scared voice I didn't recognize. I listened to one message and heard her crying, saying my name over and over. 10 minutes later, my wife was pounding on my door. She burst in the second I opened it and started yelling. She said Spanish police had stopped them near Barcelona at a checkpoint. They ran the plates, saw it was reported stolen, and detained all 4 girls. My Mercedes was taken to an impound lot. She paced my living room like I was the criminal. You ruined her life, she shouted. Her friend's parents are furious. Fix this right now. I looked at her and said the same line she'd used on me my whole life. Actions have consequences. Her face went pale. Then my phone rang again. My daughter. I answered, and all I heard was echoing noise and her sniffing. She said they wouldn't let them leave, and she needed me to drop it. She kept saying, Mom said it was fine. I didn't think you'd care. I'm sorry. Please. I said no. She started talking fast, so I cut her off. You put boots on my dash and posted it like a joke. She paused and whispered, I didn't mean it like that. I said, you still smiled on camera. She cried, please, Dad. My hand shook, but my voice didn't. I said, no, you're going to deal with it. And I ended the call and locked my door.